We are live. What's going on?
What's up, man? How
Got
are
G Money here with us. I'm good. How about you?
Doing good, man. 4th of July in quarantine, I guess. Well, we're kind of out of quarantine.
Did you have
now,
a good
but,
Fourth of July?
Yeah, so it still wasn't, it wasn't as big of a festivity as normal, but it's all good. It's all good. Enjoyed it.
Oddly enough, they still had the carnival here in town, which I thought was weird.
You go?
You wouldn't think they'd be allowed to do that. No.
Who was there?
Well, it was like they didn't have like any music or anything, but it was like carnival rides and stuff.
People
like
went
that.
With masks and all.
I don't know. I mean, we drove by. I guess there was a few people. The fireworks for as small as the town that we have, they were actually really good. They always are. So that was good. But how about you? What'd you do?
My brother had lived. My brother lives like next door now, so he has a pool. So he had a couple people over. My parents went over, so we just went over, had some food, and then came home, and that was about it.
Cool. So yeah, we got a few people already watching. Dylan and Joe Bob. One thing I wanted to mention here, because I told you about this before we went on the air. I just got back from the grocery store / Walmart, and you might want to check this. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're not as hard up as me, but when I see a 4K movie for cheap, that damn thing is mine.
Fine.
So check this out. I was kind of like, anyway, this was the highest one. I got 5. Central Intelligence is $4 on 4K.
Dude, I'm so far out of it. I never heard of it.
I've never heard of it, did I? I did hear of this, and I'm sure.
Assuming it was out in theaters.
I'm sure it's horrible, but it was $3.75 in 4K Battleship. It's got Rihanna in it. You could sing along.
Never seen it either.
Well, you've heard of the sequel. The sequel's coming out. It's supposed to come out this year, but I guess it's delayed next year. Electronic Battleship.
That's the Battleship came out because I wasn't really quite sure if it was based off of the game or what the deal was with that. I haven't seen it, but is that what it's about?
I think so, yeah.
It's about that old game that we used to have as kids. It's like, is it like that? But like,
it's loosely. I think it's an action thriller. Let's see. The battle for Earth begins at sea in an epic action adventure battleship starring. I've heard of Rihanna and Alexander Skarsgård. Liam Neeson's in it, but Liam Neeson is in everything.
So you have never seen that?
No, I've never seen any of these, but they're so damn cheap. I had to get them. $3.75. It'll at least maybe look good. Yeah, and this one was $2.50. Ender's Game.
It's funny. I haven't seen that one either. I think I have it on Vudu though.
I bet you've seen this one. This one's not very good either, but again, it's cheap. Man of Steel was $3.75.
Yeah, I have seen it. Honestly, I didn't find that as bad as most people did, and I'm not into those kind of movies at all. Like all the superhero movies are not my thing. Like I like superheroes and stuff, but I just never could get into the movies. Even most of the Marvel ones, like I liked Spider-Man and I liked X-Men, but all the Avenger ones and stuff, like they really lost me after Avengers 2, and I could never get back on board. So I haven't really seen any of those, and I've tried to watch a couple here and there, and I ended up just shutting it off halfway through. I just couldn't. It didn't do it for me. I mean, I did like Guardians of the Galaxy, so I will say that. I thought that was really done well. I thought Deadpool was good, but as far as any of the other stuff, Suicide Squad, like I thought was like just the biggest letdown. So, after all those, I just had trouble getting into them. But I didn't find Man of Steel as bad as I think everybody else did at the time. I thought it was okay. I thought it was better than Batman v Superman. I thought it was better than, but
yeah, that was like I couldn't make it through that one. I tried watching the director's cut that's about 7 hours long. So, but the last one. Real quick here, American Assassin for $2.50. So,
where did you get these?
Walmart. They were Walmart like closeout, and I was like,
dude, you've got
and
like your Walmarts are so different are different than mine. Yours has things.
yeah,
Mine's, you go down the aisles in mine, it's like empty. There's barely any movies. There's barely any action figures. There's nothing.
yeah.
It's just empty.
No, this one, it had like didn't have any of the Scream Factory titles or anything, which we've talked about, but yeah, it had those, which I wasn't even really looking, and I was like, what the hell, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what the reason we're here, and we've been talking about this movie for quite a while and doing a review of it, and Garrett, you were kind of championing this movie for a while, saying, "Hey man, you got to check it out. You got to check it out." And it is. I've got it here waiting to prepare. Midsommar.
Yeah.
Ari Aster, the dude that did Hereditary, did this one as well, and that's the reason we're here doing this live review, talking about this film. It came out about a year ago, I think. What was the release date on this? I think it was 2019 for sure, but anyway, very interesting movie. I can't believe that I got my wife to watch the entire thing with me, because it is.
Did she
It is
give you
very
the look
odd.
after it was over, or what? Did she look at you and say,
No,
"Never again am I watching one of these"?
she was kind of captivated by it. I think she was like, "What in the hell is going to happen in this?" So, but yeah, I mean, this movie is kind of unlike any movie you've ever seen. I know a lot of people compare it to Wicker Man, but I think it's like way weirder than a Wicker Man. And that's saying something. Wicker Man's kind of an odd movie too, but this is on a whole nother level. But we'll go ahead and get started though. The story of the movie, and I'm not going to give too much away, because the people that haven't seen it, you need to check this movie out. But starts off like just a normal flick, kind of. You're like, okay, you know, set in America. A girl, her name is Danny in the movie, and we'll just say that she has a tragedy that goes on in her life, without giving too much away. And her and her boyfriend have kind of a, you know, they're almost on the edge of breaking up and everything else and all this. But this tragedy kind of that was going to happen, but the tragedy prevented that from ever happening. So months and months go by, and I guess they're in college, and one of their, I guess, exchange students, or they didn't really say, one of their friends is Swedish, and he is like, "Hey, we'll come out on spring break or whatever, and you can come and visit my family, and we're going to have this festival, and you can come and check it out." And that's where it all starts. And they enter this bizarre cult-like area, you know, where they're doing this festival, this midsummer festival, I guess. And this movie the atmosphere of this is like hard to even explain, because if you explain it to people, like, "Oh man, I bet but it's creepy as hell." It really is. But yeah, from there, I mean, things really start falling apart. There's a big group of the kids that first get together, and they're one by one, you know, singled out. They make up excuse after excuse where these guys are. They left. They went back home. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, it all kind of culminates. It's a long movie. And it's got some crazy visual scenes in it as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great summary. Like I told you before we went on, I saw this in the theater, so I saw it, I believe, probably like the day or the weekend it came out, and I thought it was great. You know, obviously, definitely weird, but I think Aster is doing really well with the two movies that he's kind of put out right now. I think they're the same but different in a way, and I think he's just a real good director for this genre right now, because there's just nothing really going on. so as far as all the details on this movie, I may forget, some stuff, but great summary, like you said. Does it remind me of Wicker Man? Yeah, sure, it does in certain ways, and I think that is one of the reasons that I wanted to see it, is because I do like that movie. I like the atmosphere of Wicker Man. Those weird kind of cult like movies where they're almost in some kind of compound or whatever. Like, I kind of like that kind of stuff. There's another good one out there, similar vein. It's that is it Eli Roth did that Sacrament? That's kind of based on that story. Did you see that one?
I vaguely remembered. I don't think I ever did
That's
see it.
another good one that I would definitely recommend as well. It's based on a true story. I can't remember exactly what the guy's name was, but that was a real cool one. It kind of had the same vein as like just the atmosphere alone. It was kind of set in a compound, but yeah, I think that Ari Aster really has something special with the movies. I like movies where it's kind of a slow burn. Like, you really get to kind of learn the characters. You really get to kind of feel out the atmosphere. And then all of a sudden he kind of hits you with something big. And then the movie kind of takes a turn from there. And I feel like Hereditary did the same thing. Like, I can pinpoint where I feel that movie took a big turn. And it was that initial like scene where you're like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden that kind of changed into a different tone of the movie. And I feel that this one did the same thing as well. And it's bonkers, and it's got some crazy stuff in it. Like, I'm not a gore hound by any means or whatever, but there was just stuff in it where you're kind of like, wow, this is cool, because the story itself, it worked really well into that. And at the same time, it's just stuff you don't see on a regular basis.
Right. I mean, like I said, which I don't think it was shot. Where was this shot at? It was not shot in Sweden, but it's set in Sweden, where, I mean, I didn't really know this before, but certain times of year, Sweden only has like 4 or 5 hours of like darkness, and the rest of it's all daylight. So he really captured, like, in daylight, he made that scary for some reason, just the beautiful scenery. And there's little things kind of hidden in the background that you're like, what in the hell? Like, and the music as well is very, very, like, it's old school. Like, I don't know what type of, like Scarborough Fair, classical type shit, and that's creepy. And I gotta be honest with you, man. Like, almost the entire movie, I was sitting there almost like on the edge of having like a panic attack because I was so creeped out by it, and I couldn't even pinpoint exactly one particular thing. But it was just all those things together. The cast was amazing in this too. The lead in it, played by Florence Pugh. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct.
Yeah, she looked familiar, but I don't know where I know her from. I feel like
she has been in. I got that here. Hang on. She was in a couple of. She was in the WWE movie Fighting with My Family. Played.
Okay,
Paige.
that's what she was. Paige. Okay, all right.
Yeah. But she's been in a few other movies too. But yeah, I mean, I guess is her big breakout performance. And she's amazing. And the lead, Jack Arena, who played Christian, is really, really good in this too. So, but yeah, I mean, there's just so many little aspects in this. And from what I understand, there's a kind of a director's cut version of this as well that's even longer. That's like, what is it, like almost 3 hours or something?
Yeah, I think it's like a little over 30 minutes longer. And you actually, if you're interested, you can go on YouTube, and they actually have someone posted all the scenes that are in the longer edition, because I guess there's a UK Blu-ray release of the movie that is the director's cut, but I think it is region free. So if anybody wanted to check it out, they do have it. I don't own that version, but it's out there. I checked out the deleted scenes actually just because I was so curious, and there's some things that you kind of, that it kind of connects a few spots and some cool scenes, but there's also some scenes I feel like personally that I'm glad were cut. That's just me. there was a I don't want to go too far into spoilers or anything, but I guess there was a whole new opening to the movie where it actually starts almost like a comedy. And I saw the beginning of that and I was like, I'm kind of glad it didn't go this route, because I understand, at the end how things are just so bonkers, you kind of almost have to laugh in a way because it's just so off the wall. But to kind of start the movie poking fun or making it a joke and then going into more of a serious tone, I think it would have kind of threw the movie off a little bit personally. But it's definitely something to check out if you haven't seen it yet.
I think it says, it's 171 minutes long, director's cut. It has more violence and, just graphic stuff in, and extended, I guess, scenes that's in the final movie too. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was just where it was just such like a disturbingly slow build throughout. And it's like they're in this movie, it's like it's just another world almost, and they can't escape it. And then the beautiful imagery and stuff like that, and the music, and I got a kick out of I guess they were staying in like all of them were staying in the same building, and they had these drawings and stuff all over the walls that were so creepy looking and like almost pornographic as well on parts of them. So there's just so much to this, and this movie was kind of, I guess, considered a low budget film. Like the budget of it was, like it said, it was like $9 million or something like that.
So now overall, you told me you'd watched it, but you didn't really tell me that that you actually liked it. Like, you said it was bonkers off the wall, but overall as a movie in 2019, 2020, I guess you would say in the horror genre, like, do you think it was a definite like winner in that aspect?
Okay. Yeah. The more I think about it, I really like the movie, but I cannot see myself watching this movie a lot. It was just, it's a chaotic 2 hour, 2 hours and 28 minute movie that is, it's like a roller coaster almost, kind of. I mean, it's, if you're into really mainstream horror, I don't think the normal, my brother-in-law watched it. He hated it.
Right. It's definitely one of those movies. I think same with Hereditary, where it's not going to be for everybody. As much as I might look at those two movies and I might say, in this genre, in this era, I think those are two of the best we've gotten. But again, those are two movies that I don't think you can get everybody on board with, just because I think the pacing is just so slow. Some people are going to be like, what is going on? And they won't even get to that midpoint of each movie where I think things really take that turn. And I'm not sure about you, but I can pretty much pinpoint in both movies where the tone completely shifts. Like both movies, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm sure you probably feel the same way. Like in Hereditary, is there one particular scene where you're like, okay, things just got nuts here? And then the same thing with Midsommar. It's like things got crazy here. And I think sometimes people will not get to that point to even give it a shot, just because it's a slow burn. But to me, like I like that kind of stuff in movies. I'd rather have that than have like nonstop jump scares and all that stuff. That's just me personally. And like you said about revisiting the movie is probably not something that you do. I agree. Like I saw it in the theater. I haven't seen it since. Did I buy the Blu-ray? Yes, I did. I haven't watched it again, but I think it's also a movie I probably would watch again if I had somebody that I thought would like it. Like, let's say you lived close to me and I'd be like, dude, I think he'd kind of like this. I'd probably watch it again with you, knowing that you'd like it, but I wouldn't take it to my in-laws' house and say to my mother-in-law, hey, let's watch this, right? Like, no. I wouldn't, but for the right person, like my brother or something, I think I would probably sit there with him and just to kind of see his reaction from it.
Exactly. It's just one of those movies that, I mean, I respect the hell out of it. I think Ari Aster is the only really bright, shining, upcoming director in the genre. And I'm really excited to see what he does next. I think that he'll go a completely different route, though. I mean, hopefully he stays in the horror genre. But, I mean, just this, this movie is not anything that could ever become a blockbuster
Right.
career-making movie. I mean, it's all in there, like the little details, the atmosphere, the look of the movie, the music, everything is there. He's a great filmmaker, there's no doubt, but the content of it kind of stops it at a point where it's always going to be, hey, check this movie out that's on Amazon. This is, you know, it's not going to be like you said you saw it in a theater. I don't know how many theaters even opened in.
Yeah, I don't know if it was one of those like limited releases or limited theater runs. To be honest, my brother and I, have a similar taste in movies. He has a friend who's a filmmaker, and he does indie movies and stuff. So he's into like more of like an artsy type movie. So he was definitely down to see this one due to the fact that he knew, based on Hereditary, that this was the follow up in a sense. So we went, and I believe we even went like it might have been like a Saturday morning or something. And we were like one of the only people in the theater. So it might have been a limited run near me where like maybe they had 2 showings a day for a weekend or something like that. So again, yeah, I don't think it was a main, thing in the theater here. I think it might have been like limited, a limited thing. And that's how we saw Hereditary as well. I think like a Saturday morning at a theater here. I don't know if that had a wide release either. I forget. But yeah, so that's how I ended up seeing it.
Yeah, I think Hereditary had quite a bit wider releases this one, but I think just the content of this one is what kept it out of a lot of theaters, just because some of the stuff that's in this movie is just so out there. But yeah, I mean, as far as I enjoyed it, I guess, but it's one of those movies that it may be just a one-time watch or once in every 5 years, something like that, because it's a very, very disturbing film. I'll say that. And it just culminates, and it's just so crazy. But yeah, I mean, I'd first heard about it. A boy that I worked with is big into the genre movies and stuff. And he had told me about it was on, was it on Shudder before anything else back in the day?
It's on Amazon Prime right now, actually. It's on there right now on Amazon Prime. So.
I'm thinking not long after it came out, though.
Oh, it could have very well went to Shudder.
Yeah, or maybe it was one of those where you could like rent it on DirecTV or something like that.
You know what? I think it might have been like an Apple TV like exclusive for a while. I'm pretty sure. I read something that it actually wasn't exclusive to one of those streaming channels. I think when it first came out. I'm not sure which one though. Yeah,
but he was the first one that mentioned it to me, and I was like, "Oh, that really sounds odd." It reminded me a little bit of Hostel, kind of like the plot of Hostel, just in a different setting. It does remind me as well. There's I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It's not a very good movie, but it's got some creepy atmosphere that's kind of similar to this. Bloody Disgusting Select did this years and years ago. It's called Yellow Brick Road, and it's
I have that movie on DVD. I know I've seen it, but I can't remember, exactly what it was. Like I can picture the cover of the disc. I can, but yeah, I don't remember if I recall what it's about.
It's extremely low budget, but it has a very similar, it's all in it's daylit. It has some strange music in it. It is similar. But yeah, that is Midsommar. I'm interested in seeing what he does next, though. Ari Aster. Somebody's asking here, which is better? Let's show how high tech we are.
Personally, I think Hereditary is better. I think, to me, I think they're very similar in their own way. But if I had to choose, I would probably say Hereditary for me.
As far as overall movie, I would probably agree with you. I could see myself watching Hereditary again kind of soon. It's got some disturbing stuff in it as well. But stylistically, I think Midsommar was better.
And what's interesting too is if you take both movies, there's a lot of scenes in Hereditary where it was very dark and there was things in the background or something. You're like, wait, did I just see something there? He did a real good job of kind of putting things in the background of Hereditary, and you were kind of looking around and being like, wait, is something going on back there? And it kept your eyes kind of looking all over the place. Where I think this one, he did a very similar job, like you said, but in daylight, where your eyes were all over the screen being like, wait, did I just see something over there? Or, what's that in the background? I wonder if that's going to come into play later. And I personally think it's pretty cool when you can get that kind of, I would say, terror or anxiety with a daylight movie that's supposed to be horror. I've always felt that way. I'm trying to give an example, but like even when it comes to a slasher like Friday the 13th or something, to me it would always be interesting where like, imagine all of a sudden Jason pops out in the middle of the day. Like that always intrigued me a lot. And I'm trying to think of examples of where else that's happened. And I know there's some, but I just can't think of it at the top of my head. But, that's always kind of been a, something for me to that I thought was always intriguing.
Yeah, definitely not easy to pull off. And he
Right.
did. I mean, like I said, I felt like pretty much throughout the entire movie, I was getting ready to have a panic attack. I mean, and the weird thing is I can't pinpoint any one particular thing, but it was just everything together, it worked. So
now, I don't know how much you want to talk into this, but there was a couple parts of the movie that I feel like you almost wonder if there was scenes missing, because I felt like there was some things that just weren't explained really well. I don't want to go too into it, but do you remember there was a character that almost had like a deformity?
Right. And they never really did.
Right. Like it was one of those things where it's like, he's going to come into play, or I want to learn a little bit more about that character, or what's his story, or where he came from, or is he going to be something that's going to and it's almost like he just got kind of introduced and then faded out. And I always thought the whole time, like, I wonder if there's more to him.
Yeah. I mean, they were talking about inbreeding and stuff like that. I just kind of thought it was playing off of that, where they're asking about.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was, but it was just interesting that he was like the one inbred that looked the way he did, and you kind of just nothing really came of it too much.
Right.
But yeah.
And if you've got I'm sure you probably have a lot of the characters in this too, and I've always been creeped out by these people too. I mean, I know it's kind of mean, but like Yoders and Mennonites and stuff like that's the dress in this movie. That's what all the characters kind of dress like. Mm-hmm. So I think he played off of that very well as well. Just old time people from back in the day. Angry Amish roadkill people.
ECW.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as I'm not going to say that I enjoyed it. That wouldn't be the proper, but I mean, I respect the hell out of it. I think he did a great job in it. And everyone, if you're listening to checking out this show, listening to DEADPIT show and stuff like that, all you guys need to check it out, because you're the hardcore horror fans, and you are, who he was making this movie for, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the more people that give his stuff credit and love, hopefully he'll stick to the genre, because I did hear that he was thinking about maybe going into the comedy route next, with, I don't know if it's a comedy horror or straight comedy. I would like him to stick in the genre, because I think he might have some more good stuff out there, and I feel like we kind of need it right now. We could use it. It's few and far between that I find horror movies that I'm like, oh my god, like I get to tell someone to watch this. I think that, I think personally, I think Jordan Peele does a pretty good job. I was really into Ty West's stuff, but it seems like it kind of, that kind of faded out a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but I think we need a little bit more of this kind of stuff in the genre, this different stuff.
Yeah, Michael Dougherty's another one. He did Trick or Treat, never came out in the theater.
Right.
I have no clue why that didn't happen. Krampus came out in the theater, and Krampus is not very good. I mean, some people like it, whatever. So it's almost like, yeah, they gave him a chance, but they didn't give him the chance for the right movie. So I don't know. And it's going to be an interesting time coming up the next few months. The theaters are just, I guess, starting to open up the middle of this month. Some of them are. What are they going to play this fall? Are they going to stick with schedule? Because
Halloween Kills, I'm kind of curious about. I haven't. Is there a trailer out? Did I miss it? October's coming pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean that movie's supposed to be done. So
Right.
the problem they run into though is you're going to have, if you stick with the schedule, you're going to have a period, probably the middle of next year, where they're not going to have anything unless they have like a bunch of stuff that
Right.
is
Because nothing was filmed all this.
they've shelved for 2 or 3 years or whatever. So I think some of this stuff they're going to have to delay it.
Right.
And they did delay a lot of the big action movies. The new Wonder Woman movie, I guess that got completely delayed. The new Fast and the Furious movie. So, but I mean, there's a lot of movies in between that I don't know. I mean, some of them I know Disney released a lot of stuff on Disney Plus. So it's just going to be an interesting time, I guess, coming up. And the horror genre, I'm not sure what was even scheduled to be released aside from the new Halloween movie, because anymore, theatrical horror movies are very, very few and far between. You know,
maybe we should do more of these where we pick something that came out within the last 10 years and do a little review on it, and then we'll give people something to do until something's back out there, something new.
That's true.
It's hard to even think about what's good. 10 years to me feels like a long time, but I'm probably thinking of stuff that came out 15 years ago. To me, it feels like it was 3 years ago. I don't know, but like I said, it is few and far between. But it would be nice to maybe get some people, to watch some stuff for the time being that maybe they missed during the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for that, because that the hiatus that I went on, I didn't really watch hardly anything. I mean, there was some of the bigger stuff that I checked out, but I know I'm still supposed to watch that Child's Play remake.
I did see it, and I will say there's some okay to it. I think the word I would say is it's kind of fun, but that's probably all I would say. I wouldn't say it's good. I wouldn't say I'm glad it got remade, but I think there were some parts that I kind of laughed at it, and I thought it was all right for what it was, but it's a toss up, I guess. I think that this movie that we're talking about now, I think Hereditary, I think Us, I think those are way better movies. But I think the Child's Play ones, I think it's worth a watch. I think it's fun for what it is, but you can't replace the original stuff.
No, but I mean, I will check that out at some point. I know people, for some reason, that I did like a poll on YouTube, and that was the #1 movie that people wanted me to review. I have no clue.
I wonder if it's because they liked it or they just wanted to watch you shit on it.
I guess if I really hated it, I could turn it into like a creepy, scrappy movie review or something.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, I mean, that's if anybody's got any questions or anything, we got about another 10 minutes or so.
We can hang for a little bit, answer questions, and if you guys did see this movie, post underneath what you thought, because I'm just curious again. Am I in the minority? Are we in the minority? I'm curious.
We got one here from Grande's Graveyard. Thoughts on The Lodge? I still have not seen that yet.
I actually did watch it, and I actually thought it was pretty good. Again, it goes to those things that the idea of what we're getting now, few and far between. I personally will see something and be like, oh wow, that's cool, I'll recommend it. That was one. I thought that was really well done. I would recommend that for a horror fan personally. Definitely.
I saw the preview of it, and I did watch the preview. It looked like it would be something that I would enjoy, and I'll eventually check that out.
I think you would.
But a movie like that, it seems like something that I would like to watch on a snow. Here's my thing. If it's something set in the snow, in the winter or whatever, I want to watch it in the winter.
Yeah. I mean, I think it actually would probably be more effective that way anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, we don't have much snow around here anymore. So, because I was planning on doing The Shining in 4K and Doctor Sleep, a double feature, but we never did get the snow. It didn't snow at all this year. So
it's still sitting in a pile waiting.
Yeah. Let's see here. Thoughts on The Hunt? I have not seen that one either.
I started it. I didn't.
Uncle Bill said he really liked it, but
I'm not gonna say I can't say because I don't think I gave it enough chance. It was one where I kind of started. It was late, and then I was like, man, I wasn't really hooked, so I turned it off, and I said I'll check it out another day. So I can't give a good opinion on that one, except that it didn't grab me right away. I know that much.
I don't even know what this one is. Harpoon 2019.
I haven't seen it. So if you think it's good, let me know or let us know, and maybe I will throw it on my list to watch.
I know there was one. It's probably 4 or 5 years old though. It was like a comedy called Harpoon, a horror comedy. But I don't think that's the same.
You know what?
movie.
I think I might have that on Blu-ray. It took place on like a ship or something.
Yeah, it's something like Harpoon, the whale searching massacre or something like that.
But I might have one called Harpoon, but I think it was older, like probably within the last 10 years, not last year. So if it came out last year, I haven't seen it.
Rye the Guy, baby. You guys seen the 80s horror doc In Search of Darkness?
Yeah, it's awesome. Have you seen it?
I have not.
So
Where can you check it out at? I don't
really
have Shudder, so.
I ended up doing the Kickstarter for it, so I got like a Blu-ray and stuff like that. So I thought it was great. It's kind of cool that it's coming to Shudder. That's awesome. And I just joined the Kickstarter for the sequel to that, which is, I don't remember the name, but it's more about 80s sci-fi rather than just horror. But this is cool. It goes by year and what came out, and it gives you a little rundown on each one. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah, if they're going in depth, that's going to be a long it should be a long documentary then, because there was like a ton of stuff that came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
Metal Man says we need to bring back the wrestling reviews. Yeah.
I'm down for anything wrestling prior to maybe like 2015 or something, I guess. I mean, I'm good for anything old. I have not watched it consistently, so I don't know what's going on really. I have nothing to contribute to say now. If we go back and start talking about, events, in the 90s and 80s, I am down to do that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the way to go about it, because when we quit doing WrestleManiac live show, that was right when, I mean, it was bad for a while there, right. But there were just so much content at that point because they did the brand split. They had 2 pay-per-views a month, and it was just it was overkill, Right. So anything modern, if we can just stay away from that, that might be a good idea. Like to go back and watch big WrestleMania shows.
I have a good idea in a sense. Well, I guess we're a day or two late, but you know what I did watch probably a week ago? I kind of glanced at it. Do you remember the when Lex slammed Yoko on the Intrepid? Remember that whole thing?
Right.
They actually have a full documentary on like the upbringing and uprising of Luger and that whole thing. And it's long, and it's actually pretty interesting. It would be something kind of funny, I think, to talk about if you ever have time to watch it.
Where's it at? Is it on YouTube?
It's either YouTube or the network. I do not remember where I saw it. If anybody knows, let us know, because it is actually pretty entertaining to watch, because they go through the whole thing. And poor Yokozuna was on that Intrepid, like with no shoes in that ring for like hours, like just waiting for people to come out. And you felt so bad for him. And it showed like everybody, from all different sports and stuff coming out. And then it followed Lex around a little bit, and they showed him doing press conferences, and you could just kind of tell that he wasn't into it really. But I think it might be a cool documentary to talk about, just because, there is those funny scenes in what were they thinking kind of at that time.
Well, I think the whole Luger run up with Vince and stuff would be interesting, because when he left WCW, he had signed an exclusive deal with the World Bodybuilding Foundation or something. And that's how, because he was still under contract, I guess, with WCW. And that was a separate sort of deal there. So he couldn't actually come in until that contract was up.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we get maybe Freddie and some other people together? Maybe we'll do like a Luger just a Luger segment on that whole, what is it, 93 era, because again, it's not long, but it is interesting on some of the turns that they made and why it didn't work. And, you know, as a kid, like, honestly, as a kid, I was actually a huge Luger fan. I loved him in WCW. When he came to WWE, I was stoked. And then when he turned babyface, I was stoked. And then, you know, when it kind of fizzled out, I was actually kind of sad at the time because, you know, I was hoping bigger things for him. And then he kind of tag teamed with Davey and he just faded out. And then after he went back to WCW, I was kind of over him at that point. And I didn't really follow his career too much after that. But it would be a pretty cool little in-depth convo to go from WCW back to WCW and talk about everything in between. So maybe we can get the boys together and do something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm totally down. Maybe we can get together sometime this week or whenever. Okay. We haven't really talked on that chat in a while either. It's been a while. So, but it'll be good. I mean, that's a good idea. Okay. I'll check that documentary out as well. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess we'll end it there. Do you have anything else you wanted to mention on here?
No. I'd say if anybody's watching this on a replay, just post down below. You know, if you liked Midsommar or not, and I'm just curious to see, you know, the feedback. Even if you haven't seen it, post that you hadn't seen it, and now you're going to check it out. It'd be interesting to see who's seen it, who's not, and what they thought.
Yeah, I mean, only so many people's watching this live, but we will have this archived, and people can check out and give us your thoughts on not only Midsommar but Hereditary as well. Definitely excited to see what Ari Aster has up his sleeve for the next movie, because if he has his heart in it, it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
So, all right, man. Well, it was good talking to you again, and you have a good rest of your weekend, and we appreciate everybody checking us out.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.